The New York Knicks are playing at a different level during this year's playoffs, and now they look like they have a legitimate shot at winning a title. They were a good team during the regular season, no doubt, but they've changed gears in the postseason. They look like a different team. They've been playing extremely well on both ends of the floor, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at why they are excelling on offense and defense, specifically looking at their perimeter shooting, their creation, and their playmaking, as well as their defense as a whole. Alright, let's start by talking about the Knicks offense, and specifically their shooting from the perimeter. Now, the Knicks offense has been excellent in the playoffs. It's been really efficient. In fact, they have an effective field goal percentage of 59.6%. That is number one in the playoffs. If you're not familiar with effective field goal percentage, that's an advanced stat that adjusts field goal percentage and gives more weight to three-pointers than twos. And the reason why the Knicks have been so efficient offensively is because they have been lights out shooting from mid-range and three-point range. Here is a chart that shows how well each team has shot from mid-range and behind the arc in the playoffs. As you can see, the Knicks are in the top right quadrant, meaning they have been one of the best mid-range and three-point shooting teams in this year's postseason. A lot of the Knicks players are having really strong individual shooting performances in this year's playoffs, and that includes guys like Miles McBride, Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, and Landry Shamet, who are all averaging at least 2 three-pointers made per game. And all of this is helping the Knicks be really efficient offensively. I'm a Hawks fan myself, and I had to watch the Knicks completely destroy our defense in the first round. And a big reason why they gave us so much trouble is because they were hitting shots at a very high clip from the perimeter. And so this has been a game changer for the Knicks offense in the playoffs. While the Knicks have been red hot in terms of shooting, this is not the only reason why their offense has been so effective in the playoffs. I think their creation and their playmaking has also been really impressive. And it's no surprise that their creation has been strong when they have a guy like Jalen Brunson leading their offense. I looked at their efficiency on different play types on NBA.com, and the numbers are really impressive. I looked specifically at how the Knicks have been performing on isolations, pick and roll ball handler play types, and pick and roll man play types during the playoffs. And they are among the best of all the teams in this year's postseason in all of these areas, in all of these categories. So in terms of isolation, on these play types, the Knicks are averaging 1.10 points per possession. That's the best in the league. On pick and roll ball handler play types, they're averaging 0.99 points per possession. That is in the 86th percentile. I believe that is fourth of all teams in the playoffs. And then on pick and roll man play types, they are averaging 1.34 points per possession. That is in the 100th percentile that leads all teams in the playoffs. So overall, their creation ability is very strong. They're super efficient in isolations and pick and rolls, and that is allowing them to decimate opposing defenses. If a team is going to be this good in these categories specifically, it is going to be very hard to stop them, especially when they are shooting so well from the perimeter like the Knicks have in this year's playoffs. On top of this, the Knicks' ball movement and passing have been excellent in the postseason. They're averaging 27.4 assists per 100 possessions. That is second of all teams in the playoffs. And both Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns are both doing a great job of carrying the playmaking load for this team. These two players are averaging 6+ assists per game with an assist rate over 28% in the playoffs. And Jalen Brunson, that is expected of him. But I want to give a huge shout out to Karl Anthony Towns for what he's been doing as a passer in the postseason. his playmaking has reached a whole nother level. And he's been great as a scorer. We'll get into that in just a second. But what he's doing as a playmaker has taken this Knicks offense to new heights. I wanted to give him a huge shout out for that. What he's been doing as a playmaker is incredible. And both him and Jalen Brunson have been great offensively. Brunson is averaging 27 points per game, as well as 6 assists per game on 60.1% true shooting. Very impressive production there. And then Towns himself is averaging 17 points per game and 7 assists per game on 74% true shooting. He's been really efficient as a scorer while also elevating his game as a passer, and that has been huge for the Knicks offense. And I'm going to go off topic a bit because this has nothing to do with the Knicks' creation or their playmaking specifically, but I did want to praise OG Anunoby for a second because he's been very good in the playoffs. He's playing really well off the ball, and he's scoring the ball at a very efficient clip, both inside and outside the arc. He's averaging 21 points per game on 75.5% true shooting. That efficiency is insane. And he's been so efficient because he's shooting 53.8% on threes, 67.2% on twos, and 81.1% from the free throw line. So he's been amazing as well. And all three of these guys have been crucial to the Knicks' success on offense. Now, to close out this video, I do want to talk about the Knicks' defense, because although they've been amazing offensively, I think they have arguably been just as impressive on the other end of the floor. Their defense has been one of the best in the entire playoffs. They have a defensive rating of 105.7, meaning they are allowing 105.7 points per 100 possessions. That is the second best mark of any team in the playoffs, only behind the San Antonio Spurs, who are obviously incredible defensively. And a huge reason why the Knicks have been so good on defense is because their perimeter defense has been excellent in the playoffs. Their ability to defend at the point of attack has been very good. Specifically, they are allowing 0.88 points per possession on isolation play types, which is in the 73rd percentile, a very good number there. And their opponents are shooting very poorly from mid-range and three-point range. Earlier, we talked about how the Knicks have been shooting lights out from the perimeter on offense, and on defense, they are performing very well in those areas too. Here's a chart that shows how well each team is playing on defense in terms of their mid-range field goal percentage allowed and their three-point field goal percentage allowed. This is, what the same chart that we looked at from the Knicks on offense, just on defense. And as you can see, the Knicks are in the top right quadrant, meaning their perimeter defense has been elite in the playoffs. They have allowed a mid-range field goal percentage of 37.6% and a three-point percentage of 32.2%. And few teams have been able to match that level of perimeter defense. The only team in the same area as the Knicks are really, the Magic and the Spurs. The Timberwolves and the Heat are somewhat, close behind. But the Magic and the Spurs are really the two teams that are in the Knicks area in terms of, mid-range field goal percentage allowed and three-point percentage allowed. I think it's very impressive that the Knicks have been this good on defense because they haven't generated a lot of steals or blocks, and they don't force turnovers at a high rate, or at least they haven't in the playoffs. And a lot of times, teams who are really efficient on defense are successful because they force a lot of turnovers. They generate a lot of steals, they block a lot of shots. The Pistons are a team that fits this description. But the Knicks are completely different defensively. Their success on this end of the floor comes from their defensive rebounding, which has been great. They have a defensive rebound rate of 79%, and their ability to guard at the point of attack. And so these are two areas where the Knicks are excelling in the playoffs. And that is what is making their defense so freaking good. Also, shout out to Karl Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby, who have both been amazing on this end of the floor. I talked about both of these guys when I broke down the Knicks offense earlier in this video. And these guys have been amazing on defense as well. Cat's defense has specifically been unreal. And this is super impressive considering this hasn't been a strength of his throughout his career. But now he's playing at a very high level defensively. He's blocking shots at a high rate, grabbing a ton of defensive rebounds, and his defensive impact metrics in the playoffs have been very good. So shout out to Karl Anthony Towns. He deserves a ton of love for the way he's played in this year's playoffs, and I have been thoroughly impressed by the way he's played on both ends of the floor recently. Shout out to the New York Knicks. They've been so good recently. Heading into the playoffs, I did not expect this team to play this well, but what we've seen from them over the last 2 rounds shows that they are a legitimate championship contender. And I think they've looked like the best team in the Eastern Conference. And there are a lot of good teams in this conference, but none of them have played as well as the Knicks have in this year's playoffs. Of course, the quality of opponents plays into that, but still, this team is playing at a very high level. The Knicks, they deserve a ton of praise for how they have performed, both on offense and defense. They've got a lot of players playing at a very high level, and this team is looking very dangerous right now. This is not the same team that we saw in the regular season. They're playing at a different level, and it would not shock me whatsoever if they end up winning the championship this year. That is how well they have been playing in this playoffs. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, and if you haven't subscribed already, you can do that as well. And I will see y'all next time. Peace.